Do you need encouragement to turn tragedies into your own triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Perdue.
Hey, come on in. It's time for us to get started. Time to get some motivation and inspiration. It's get some fire me up and a little education. Today we're going to do some more education than but still going to fire you up though. Hey, grab a gold nugget, grab 4 gold nuggets. Be sure to share it with someone to help them get through some difficulties in their life. Don't take it to the grave with you. It's no good then. Okay. Pass it forward, pay it forward, help somebody else. Do the ripple effect. They'll help someone else and they'll help someone else. And 100 years from now, your little gold nugget's going to help somebody. All right, let's go and get started here with the day. We're going to talk about digital boundaries. Yes, sometimes we take control of this and, we wear ourselves out with it instead of taking little breaks and recover and stuff. So let's talk about some digital boundaries today. Welcome to the podcast, Kelsey Green.
Hey, James, I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
All right. Well, we're glad you're here too, because I definitely can use some digital boundaries. So I get really hooked up on those little reels they do nowadays and watch about an 8-second thing and laugh about it and ready to go to the next one. So
absolutely. There's some great stuff out there. Not arguing that.
Yeah. We just like our life. We need to manage it better. I'll go ahead and say it better. I know I do. And I would think the majority does. So with this. All right. So I'm going to shut up and you're the star of the show, Kelsey, and you go ahead and put us in place where we need to go and we'll follow along.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for having me, and to your listeners, thanks for being willing to listen to this topic. And what I'm here to talk about today, as James mentioned, is digital boundaries. And if you wanted to take it a step further, even we could call it digital minimalism, which is a little bit harder to say. So usually stick with digital boundaries. And the reason that I am passionate about this topic is I work with creatives, I work with entrepreneurs, I work with individuals who are trying to bring something out into the world. So this could be people that are trying to launch their businesses. Maybe they're artists that are working on creating a gallery body of work. James and I spoke a minute ago about writing a book, something.
There really, you go. Write that book.
Yeah, write that book. Something really big that's on your heart. And what I am finding, and also what the research is finding, is that in the last 10 years or so, and I'm sure that many people's experiences really support this, is that our brains have been a little bit taken over by social media, by all the really, really cool and fun content out there, the Netflix, all the streaming platforms. And these are created to be extremely addictive. And if you've ever found yourself, kind of just checking your Instagram, checking Facebook, and tending to just see if you have any messages, or just, spend a minute or two, and then an hour later look up and think, oh my God, where did the last hour go? And you kind of have that zonked out, zombie, kind of hollow feeling.
Here in the South, we say that our mind's gone catawampus.
Yeah. Okay.
Excellent. So, wandering around. And also, I want to mention real quick before you get going. Yeah, we do. We check Instagram. We check Facebook. And nothing getting wrong with checking everything, just when you get out of control and you're doing 100 times a day. But I only get on Facebook long enough now to see if someone's cussed me out, and then I get off there. So, other than that, I don't really care what's going on. And not that I care that they cuss me out.
Yeah.
So, but that's the only reason I get on there now, pretty much. I don't hang in there much.
Oh, good for you. Yeah. Well, for some people, it's really tough to set those boundaries.
Oh, yes.
It's really hard to get to that point where you can just kind of get onto the platform and use it for whatever you are trying to use it for. And now I'll kind of go into, there's a book I'll just recommend, not my book, but a
We're
great
going to recommend your book when it comes out, though.
Thank you. So Cal Newport's Digital Minimalism. And this can be sort of a scary term for people, digital minimalism, but all it really means is utilizing the digital platforms to support whatever your deepest core values and your goals are. So James, for you, I'd say, you bring education and inspiration to people through your podcast, of course. And
all right, we're over with now. She gave me a good compliment. Podcast is over. Everybody else, hey, we'll see you next. No, I'm kidding. So, but yes, I try to do mine just to boom, let you be the star of the show. Everybody else be the star of the show. Let them run it, but just to get your message out. So,
yeah.
All right. I'm sorry I'll get back off I'm going to stay on this soapbox this time, though. All right, go ahead.
So you are utilizing these digital platforms to help bring, things to the world, great things to the world, to listeners, etc. Help inspire people. I looking at your list of episodes that you've done, you've had some amazing guests and helping to bring people's stories out, right? So in my mind,
I'll send that $20 in the mail. Thank you for talking like that. So amazing. All right. That is what's the old saying? Checks in the mail.
Excellent. I'll look forward to receiving it.
There you go. Yeah, you keep waiting on it.
Yeah. I know mail is slow these days, right?
That's right.
So this is a great example of a wonderful use of the digital platforms, right? And no one is arguing, I certainly am not arguing that there's not amazing benefit, amazing value to some of these advances in technology, to some of these apps that connect us. There is such great benefit. The issue is that when we want to utilize these things for connection, for entertainment, that's fine too. It can end up taking over our whole lives. And there's a lot of research coming out these days that show the actual changes, physical changes to your brain when you are really highly engaged in these addictive platforms that are now created to replicate slot machines for our brains, right? So even if you're not a gambling kind of person, you understand that these are pretty compelling and addictive types of mechanisms. They're actually just using now in social media, right? And some of the even ways that they operate the streaming platforms where the shows are just starting. And of course, the algorithms have improved so much. So they can really key into what you are most excited about, of course, which is one thing that makes it wonderful to be on there, because you can curate an incredible feed. So my Instagram feed, for example, full of inspirational stuff, health related stuff, wellness, mental health, it's great. I think it's a great feed. It's educational. I've curated that heavily. But even so, there's a lot of these mechanisms that make it very addictive.
Well, they want it to be that way so you'll stay longer. And so, because that's more money they're making somewhere. I don't know how all that works and everything, but I know they're doing it for us to be there for them to make the money. So, I don't know how all that works, but from there. But yeah, my biggest problem, we mentioned it earlier, I'm just tired of all the negative stuff that's coming out. And I understand we have real life issues. Don't get me wrong with that. Okay. But like, let me give you one example of this. I was at a ball game. This is years ago. And one woman, she's over there knitting away during the ball game, watching the baseball game. She's knitting away. But whenever they play the thing, and everybody's going charge, she's knitting away. They go and she goes charge, and she back to knitting. Didn't look up, nothing, just back to knitting. But then I saw this two women laughing at her, videotaping her on Facebook to make fun of her.
Aww.
For being at the ballpark, not watching the game, knitting.
Aww.
And I'm going, look at these bullies. And it's wonder why we have children that are bullies. It's because the parents are still bullying at this age. And so I really, it just, man, it's just people way some people are. So.
Yeah. And to your point, there's a lot of really challenging stuff that happens in social media with the comments and people attacking each other that doesn't happen, even if we're in a digital platform like this, we're in real time, we're interacting live, and, we can see each other's faces and our facial expressions, and we have evolved as a species to be tracking what is happening in, with someone's face when you're talking to each other. And yes, very dehumanizing. And unfortunately, that's a really sad story, because that lady that was knitting probably just wanted to be around people,
But
and
she was with her, I'm assuming husband, and she
yeah,
was around, 4 or 5 other people. It wasn't just like she was there by herself. She was
yeah,
with a group, but another group was
yeah,
videotaping her on Facebook and laughing. So I thought that's pathetic.
absolutely.
So,
She was
but
there for herself. It's like,
she just being her.
no
She can
idea
enjoy
why.
the game and still do her thing. She look up when a hit happened and she's right back at her. But it was pathetic. But
Well, James, I have a
what
question.
I can't stand, and I know this, I'm jumping off the thing here. I just can't stand. I wish there was a way that they could monitor somehow. If someone sends a dummy account
Mm,
to bully someone,
yeah,
and if you can't leave your name behind it, somehow we ought to be able to delete it
right.
before the other people get it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
maybe in 100 years now they'll do something like that. I don't know, but maybe they don't have the right technology algorithm to find and do that. Maybe I don't know, but hopefully someone to come up with a way they can do that.
Yeah, well, thankfully, there's some legislation I know that's being worked through the system that will help protect young people. This kind of stuff is detrimental for all of us, but for young people, phew, this is really, really challenging. And parents out there, there's a book called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. That's the number one book I'd recommend for parents that are, especially parents of young kids who are trying to figure out how to move forward with in this new digital age. That's a great resource.
I
So
saw a wild, but I was all for this. Told you I get hooked on the reels. Okay. 8 seconds, move on. This one guy to come in and he's pushing the door open, his daughter playing the video games on the TV, her bedroom. And he comes in, he says, "Didn't I tell you to clean your room?" And she goes with a smart mouth, "Didn't I tell you I'm playing my games?" And all of a sudden he reaches down and grabs a guitar and slams it through the TV. And he says, "Now, when you're done playing your games, clean your room," which I'm applauding. Okay. That, but I think, and again, I don't have any children, so I guess I shouldn't, so I don't have a dog in the fight on this one. But to me, the parents ought to be limiting the amount the kids are on there anyway. Now they're 18 and over. You want to spend 86 hours on there, that's your choice. But I would think if I was a parent, I would hope that I had some control over that.
well, honestly, it's not really a fair fight, right? These tech companies
Oh,
are
it's not. You're right. You're
creating,
exactly
yeah,
correct.
creating these to be super addictive. And honestly, when I talk to parents and they're really worried about their kids, they have an absolute right to be worried, and that's a very valid concern, but most of them don't have control over their own digital use. And if the digital
That
platforms
is,
are
yes.
very
Yep.
addictive
You're correct.
to a fully formed adult's brain, it's tough to blame kids who are still in that developmental stage for being addicted to these extremely addictive devices, right?
Yeah,
So
you're correct. Yeah.
yeah, so really the question comes down to, and I think about this for a lot of habits, a lot of things that we're judging other people for, is how can we really address this within ourselves first? How can we model this behavior for others? And one thing that I feel really strongly about is, when you're out in the world, is being fully present with people around you. And I'm old enough. I'm in my 40s. I'm old enough that I remember a time before cell phones, and when we were with other people, when we were out, just at the store or whatever. Obviously, we weren't on our phones because we didn't have them back then, or at least before the smartphone. That we had
Had the old flip.
yeah. And that was great. That did what we needed it to do. And we didn't spend all day on it, right? We didn't sacrifice other things in our life for our phones. And so one thing I try to talk to people about is whenever you can, if there's other people around, or if you are working on being in solitude, which is not literally by yourself, but Cal Newport defines solitude as no other ideas coming into your brain. And that can even include music, right? So you and I love podcasts. I love podcasts. Podcasts have been life-changing for me. But what I try to do is spend time just with my own thoughts. And James, I have a question for you actually. When we talk about big creative projects, and you said you're on your 14th book, as I recall. So how do you manage, that time to really focus on writing when there is so many wonderful digital distractions?
I have to make my commitment to do it. Like I told you, my first book took 12 years to write, my memoir, how I got in a wheelchair and everything. And I told people, said, how you upgrade your computer. And so within 12 years, it was upgraded a couple of times. And I said, if I would have lost that manuscript and the upgrade transferring over, I would never start over. Okay. So I would have never done it. So fortunately, it's a miracle in itself that it was able to hang in there. But someone brought a good point to me, and this is what I try to look at now, because you can find people that teach you how to write your book in 30 days. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody can do it in 30 days. But another woman told me, if you just wrote 15 minutes a day, it'd take you a year, but you can have your book done in a year.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean, hey, I missed today, so I need to do 30 tomorrow. No, they just stick with your 15. And if you miss a day or two, it's not the worst thing in the world. It may be put off a little longer. But so that's what I try to look at now. Just write a little bit, what I'm thinking about, get that on down before I forget it. And I'm not in a hurry to get them done. And obviously I'm not in a hurry if it took 12 years, but
yeah. And I wasn't sure.
It's a lot of commitment is what it is.
Yeah.
You have to be dedicated to it. So
yeah. And I wasn't sure if you meant it was 12 years in the making. Sometimes people say it took me 20 years to do a thing, but they just mean they needed to get the confidence or the motivation.
Yeah.
You mean you literally were working on it for 12 years?
Well, no, I'd write a paragraph here and may not touch it for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Come back and write a chapter, may not touch it for 2 months. So that was mine. And part of it was the confidence, thinking who would want to read my story, who would want to read my life, where I came when I got hurt to where I'm at today. So part of it was that as well. So, but I didn't work on it every day. I mean, I'd go weeks and months before I'd touch it again. That's why I'm saying it was a miracle it never got lost in the transfer and, upgrading computers.
Yeah, so. Thankfully, right? Yeah, and I just want to echo your really good point about a little bit of time each day. And I actually, one of the things that I do is I hold space for women to do this exact thing. Because sometimes the irony is sometimes you think, oh, I'm not going to work on something for 15 minutes a day because that's just too little time. But then the alternative is 0 minutes that day or any day, or 4 weeks go by and you haven't spent 15 minutes or even 7 minutes or anytime. So it's really interesting. So yeah, I work with groups that to hold that accountability of just a little bit every day. And I find for myself, once starting is the hardest part, once you're in it, then, usually I can go a half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, because you're going, and
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. You don't have to put a 15-minute time limit. You go past it, hey, that's even better. Okay. Yeah. But you don't have to go tomorrow. Well, I did 45 minutes, so I got 3 days I can take a break, But again, if you don't get it done, it's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah. That 15. But yeah, if you're like you just said, if you get that 15 minutes, you're on a roll and you're going, hey, stay in there for an hour if you need to. So it's not a 15-minute hard stamp, shut it down. Just go as long as you need to.
Yeah. And I guess, coming back to our theme and how it intersects with this topic, when you're used to having this really kind of cheap dopamine, addictive, all the things that social media, for example, provides, it actually can be really tough to just sit and do a thing, anything. We're talking about writing a book right now, but this can be even house projects or, any kind of little thing that you're trying to do in your life. Even just kind of sitting with your own thoughts, which I think is so critical for processing and kind of evaluating your life and coming up with ideas and determining what it is you really want. These things do become more challenging when you have no boundaries around your digital use. You just kind of let yourself be taken over by it. And I talk about, just like, let's say social media is a topic that we're discussing, but sometimes people are on 4 screens. Literally, they've got a smartwatch that's giving them notifications. They have their phone, they have an iPad, and they have a TV, literally all at the same time. And this is overwhelming for your brain, right? Even one screen at a time. One of the things that people think is that, they want to rest, they want a little break, they want to just kind of chill out. And they think that watching Netflix, scrolling is going to give them that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with streaming or scrolling, but the thing is to know is that this is not actually calming, peaceful, or restful for your brain. Your brain still has to process all of this stuff, and it's still working pretty hard. So if you do something like you're reading a book, that is more, less things coming at you and more active, this is going to be more restful. If you can work on a little project or do the writing, whatever it is, it seems like it's going to be more work for you. But in the end, you're going to feel more rested and you're going to feel more fulfilled in your life.
Yeah, I believe you're correct that that mind gets stimulated where you're just thinking this is the normal, let me check this again. But all that visual coming at you, the colors, the bright lights, the information, the videos or whatever you're reading, then it's like I said, the mind is having to continue working over time. And it's not having time for that relaxation.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
And now I'll sort of widen out the lens here and talk about, your life and what it is that you want your life to be, your legacy, whether or not you have kids. This really important what you do in this lifetime. And I think a lot of our beautiful goals and desires have been kind of taken over by this new digital age. And that's not to say, of course, you can't utilize these tools to help bring that work into the world, like what you're doing, James. But it's that, when you kind of take a moment to evaluate what is something that I can do, it could be a little tiny thing, but that would be more fulfilling to me and maybe help me conceptualize, my life in a more deep and meaningful way.
yeah, 2 things I'm thinking of here is I think there was a commercial, had to have been some type of commercial that I remember, and it's like a family's at the dining room table, I guess we're going to eat, and everybody's on their phone, and it's like one of them texting pass the mashed potatoes to whoever, and they just pick up the potato and hand it over, and they send another text pass the green bean, whatever it is, but they're texting at the table instead of communicating with each other. So
I have not seen that, but what was the point of the commercial? Was it to get off?
I have no idea anymore. I just remember it was probably some cell phone probably selling, but I had no idea. I just remember seeing the concept. But I also want to tell you that my mother's 85 and she has never been on a computer.
Wow.
She didn't care for it. Even when it all was hot and come out, she still at 85 has a nice flip phone. And I've told her she may be the smartest of all of us,
Yeah.
not getting hooked up in all this. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound like just a bashful thing. Like you said, the technology is great. I'm all for technology. I'm a spinal cord injury. Got my neck broke playing football. I
Wow.
Not that I wish anybody getting paralyzed. I
Mhm.
believe in the future, technology is going to help people walk again. I
Yeah.
believe technology and this AI and everything is going to help cure cancer,
Yeah.
multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophy in the future. I believe all that with technology, it's going to work. Um, but it's like everything in life. We've got to control it. If you don't control eating 15 pizzas a day, you're going to get overweight. If you don't get out and exercise, your health is going to drop. And so we need to, like everything, moderation is the key term for a healthy life.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yes, I totally agree. And I also agree that there's gosh, these amazing things coming out of technology. I had to have a surgery and it was done laparoscopically, and I'm grateful because otherwise it would have been a huge cut my body right open, you know.
Hmm.
And so these are things I'm grateful for. And again, considering your use, evaluating your own use does not negate the truth that there are really cool benefits and you can benefit from some of these advances in technology without completely giving away your autonomy around it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
again, let me just go ahead and just throw. I've said this a bunch of times. Not that I'm glad I'm disabled, not that anything like that, but I am glad that I'm disabled during this time
Mm. Mhm.
because you and me being able to do this podcast miles away from each other,
Yeah.
states away from each other. I've interviewed just yesterday a guy in Australia,
Yeah.
because of this technology.
Right.
So I'm definitely glad where I'm at because of technology. I'd hate to think 100 years ago, people like me are laying in bed because there's nothing to do in life
Yeah.
and nothing to get out and do. So I
Yeah.
would hate to think I'd been brought up in that time frame. So
Absolutely. And that's an incredible perspective, very important. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And so I also am so grateful. My business is almost fully online. I know you are in the online space, of course, and grateful for it. And yeah, and also, there's that place where you ask yourself, like, am I utilizing my precious time in a way that helps to create things like this, these connections, to better myself, be in service to others, whatever it is, right? Am I utilizing my time for that? Or to our discussion earlier, am I'm going to presume none of your listeners are bullying people online, but it's still wonderful to question,
I haven't gotten any response about bullying. So hopefully my people are doing the good thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But it's still good to question ourselves. Am I showing up as best as I can online? And sometimes that even means, am I willing to be a little bit vulnerable online? Am I willing to speak the truth? Of course, these days there's so many filters and we're all just posting all the good stuff, and that can be really alienating for some people. Like, wow, once I started hearing people talk about their struggles on podcasts and really, I'm not saying bleed all over the online space, but is there a place for us to show up in a more human way with each other
oh
and
yeah.
help hold each other's struggles? So the question is, too, if you are active in the online space, to question, how are you showing up? Is that the way that you want to be remembered? And are you helping to support humanity or harm it?
I like to think of podcasting in some way. I don't know if it's in every podcast way, but at least in what I'm in, it's also a form of therapy. They
Yeah.
get to open up to strangers that they have no idea.
Mhm.
And the good and the bad, I'm sorry they went through what they went through, but they're not the first one that's happened to, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And it's going to happen again 100 years from now and between now. And
Mhm.
so their story, people are going to hear and say, I've been going through the same thing, and
Yeah.
you're going to listen to it and grab a good old, like I said, gold nugget to help them get through.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I find more people are more open, like you said, to do this than doing their little reels and hiding behind,
Mhm.
what could be going on.
Right.
So,
Yeah, exactly. So I guess just kind of as we are starting to wrap up this conversation, to look at some actual actionable strategies that you can do. It's just sort of with any habit you're trying to form, it's just creating a little bit more space in your day. And a lot of people say that they're so busy and there's no time at all. And I run these free little challenges. They're called screen-free Sunday challenges. And when you spend 24 hours off of screens, whoo, you're going to learn
Ooh,
you've got a lot of time,
that's
actually.
a long 24 hours the first few times.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really illuminating because some people aren't sure if they've got a problem with their digital use. And when you go that long without it, you sure will know. You'll know in the first couple hours, right, of how it feels inside. So anyway, the point is, can you just push back a little bit? Can you start to say like, okay, sleep is so important, so important. Really on this soapbox right now about sleep, but we know that being on the screens right before bed, really tough for our brains to sort of wind down and be in that sleep space. So can you be off of screens a little bit earlier in the night? And can you push that out? Can you hold off getting onto your phone first thing in the morning or, onto your computer and just, I use Full Focus Planner, which is a paper planner, and very old school, but I think, and I have a digital calendar too, and I just reconcile them. But to write out ideas and notes and things, I think paper is still great. And so it's just kind of, can you keep some of these old school habits if that's something you're interested in your day? Because the other issue is when everything goes onto your phone, then you go to look at your grocery list maybe, and then I might as well check Instagram, before I go. And then you're kind of caught in that little rabbit hole without realizing it. If your grocery list is on a scrap of paper like it used to be, there, your phone's in your purse or in your bag, whatever. It's not right there. So just kind of ways that you can separate yourself from your phone a little bit, and give yourself that space and time to write your book or, to do a project or just be with yourself.
Yeah, I'm just listening. I mean, you're giving great advice in here. Yeah, we just need to minimize, like you said, the digital minimization or whatever you. And again, I forgot what it said.
Yeah.
Oh, we were talking about. Oh shoot! Now
No,
go ahead. I forgot what I was
yeah,
saying.
no, that's all right.
Got the old brain fart going.
Yeah, I hear you.
When you get 61, you may happen to you, Kelsey. Might. I'm not saying it will. Might.
I mean, I hear you. I'm, 40, I'm 43, so I get it, but I'm getting there, but anyway, the point is just kind of looking at your life, evaluating, are your habits, and this goes for any habit, if you drink a lot or whatever it is, is that something that you want to keep going? And usually people have a sense of like, if it's something like drinking or doing drugs or eating like garbage, usually people have a sense like, well, this isn't great. But the irony is that for our digital use, we haven't yet started to ask those questions about that or be aware. And that's one of the reasons I'm talking about this so much, is because for other stuff, we've smoking cigarettes, whatever, we now know, that wasn't great for us. But the cultural narrative currently doesn't really support that yet, isn't really asking those questions yet, except these little voices and academic research that is starting to kind of point some of these things out, like, woof, this is actually not great for humans to be using it to this extent that they are using it.
Moderation. That's what I was thinking before that brain fart came again. We'd mentioned earlier, just to moderate, just do a little bit at a time, and just don't try to think you have to do all of it in one day. So, but I'm just also thinking about you're talking about going back to the old papers and writing and stuff, and I was thinking of this old commercial. It was funny. I'm going to enlighten you.
Okay.
It's kind of changing. Well, it's changing the subject a lot, but all of a sudden it's a referee at a in a football game, and all of a sudden the coach is just yelling right here, just yelling right in his ear. I'm just going off on him, and then you hear uh, the sports announcer, the analyst, and they go, "Man, look at him taking it like that," and then where do you get such training like that? And then the next scene, he's sitting at home and you hear the wife going, and I've told you to take the trash out and you won't even take the dog for a walk. And so it was pretty funny that his training was from the hearing, and he was able to use it on the football field to ignore it. So it was pretty funny.
That
I
is
know it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I just brought that. I just thought that was funny. So, but Kelsey, I appreciate you being here. You've been, you have definitely hit the spot. Yeah, to me, I don't want anybody to miss out on a podcast. But if you need to limit it,
mm,
have at it. Be
yeah.
be the best person you can, and again, don't feel like you have to overdo everything. So from there, sad thing is, don't get me wrong, people that are religious, spiritual, and everything, but I think you can overdo it in that. So if
Anything.
we just in anything, so it's just where you're missing other things that you need to have your eyes open for.
Yeah.
So I know people don't yell at me too bad about the religious thing, but uh, okay, we can still overdo that. So all right, um, well, what else you got to say?
I think that
I think you've done enough.
yeah, I think people get the idea without repeating myself. I think people
And
understand. Check out the book Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. It's a great place to start if you're interested. And I think the takeaway is that you don't have to, like you said, do it all in one day. You don't have to do 24 hours off screens, but can you push back just a little bit and try to think about what kinds of habits you would like to have in the place of kind of endless scrolling, streaming, whatever it is.
I like what you said earlier too. Is uh, and I do more of this. I should don't take the judgment, judging other people, and worry about your own self and
Mhm.
about your own digital footprints that you're leaving behind and whatever else is doing. Worry about yourself, and they have to worry about themselves. So don't try to think you have to push it onto them. That it's going to happen or not happen with them as
Mhm.
well. So, all right, Kelsey, I appreciate you being here. You got to give you your social media in case anybody wants to reach out and say, hey.
Absolutely. Yep. You can find me at Kelsey L, like Lemur Green, no E at the end. So Kelsey L Green. That's my handle on Instagram. My website is kelseylgreen.com, and you can find me on LinkedIn at the same handle.
Good deal. And I'll put it in the show notes as well to
Excellent.
help people find you a little easier. So,
Great.
well, you definitely been a blessing with me today. And so we know that people are hurting and struggling, Kelsey. So if you can leave us with a positive message, that'd be a blessing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think when we talk about habits, when we talk about digital boundaries and evaluating your own life and thinking about how you want to show up, what kind of person that you want to be, I think the takeaway is that you are worth it. Your life is worth it. You have beautiful things to contribute just even on the daily level, day to day, hour by hour, just the way that you show up in the world. You are worth it, and your beautiful life is worth consideration and care and love.
There we go. And be sure to do what they say in the South, hang in there like a loose tooth. So, uh, hey, see, y'all thought I was going to say the other one. Normally I say, Kelsey, hang in there like a hair in a biscuit, but I changed it on them today. So,
Wow.
all
Excellent.
right. Oh, yeah, I appreciate you being here. Boy, I love your positivity, beautiful smile. I can see why you're going to be a big leader in this area in life. And I can see that. Get your book done. And when you're
Yeah.
done, get hold of me so we can push your book.
Excellent. Thank you so much, James. It's been a pleasure to connect
All
with
right.
listeners today.
Hey, everybody else. I'm Dr. James Purdue. Share us out with someone else. Do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your paralysis.